This jobs report just delivered the largest drop in new jobs outside of a recession in decades, and almost nobody is talking about it. Okay, that's not normal. And when something this rare shows up in the data, it's a warning sign about the economy that we should not ignore. In a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you should be doing right now to protect your income and stay ahead. But first, guys, let's go straight to the numbers. Here's what this jobs report actually showed. The December jobs report that we got on Friday, just this past couple of days, came in far below expectations. Economists were expecting much stronger job growth, and instead, only about 50,000 new non-farm jobs were added in December, making this one of the weakest labor reports that we've seen in a very long time. Now, the official unemployment rate sits at 4.4% right now, which on the surface, it sounds healthy, right? But that number doesn't tell the full story. And we'll talk about why in a moment. What makes this report different? It's not just that job growth slowed down, okay? It's how much it slowed without the economy officially being in a recession. Normally, when job growth falls this much, people are already feeling it, okay? People are experiencing widespread layoffs. You got businesses that are visibly cutting back, and the economy is clearly slowing. And that's not what we're seeing at this point. That's exactly why this report that we just got matters so much. This isn't just a bad month. This is a rare warning sign that we're seeing in the data. Now, when you look back over the past few decades, guys, drops in job growth like we're seeing right now usually show up during recessions, not before the recession. Okay, so when we see a large drop like we're seeing, it tells us one very important thing, and that is businesses overall in America are getting nervous because companies don't typically stop hiring like this unless they're worried about future demand for whatever good or product or service that they're selling, right? Businesses appear to be just worried about higher costs or tighter conditions down the road. See, remember this about businesses, guys. Businesses always look forward. They're trying to figure out what's coming up next and how do we as a business prepare for it. So when we watch businesses operate, which we watch them operate based on how they do their hiring and how much hiring they're doing, that jobs data that we get is an early warning sign for how we should be looking at the overall economy. The jobs data typically shows stress before people feel it in their day-to-day lives. Now, let's talk about where jobs are actually showing up and where jobs are disappearing. Some areas in our economy are still adding jobs. Let's be clear about it. But many of the higher paying and what we typically consider to be more stable type jobs, the kind of jobs that support middle class people, these types of jobs are clearly slowing down. And another important detail, more of this job growth that we see right now is part-time jobs, right? Not full-time. And that matters because part-time jobs usually mean less stability. Part-time jobs usually also mean fewer benefits and more people needing to have multiple jobs just to get by and pay their bills. I mean, think about it. How many people do you know have 2 and 3 jobs right now? It's more than usual, right? I know a lot of people who have a couple of jobs or have some side hustles they do to make some extra money. Like that's really a thing in our society right now. Job quantity matters, right? But here's the kicker. Job quality matters even more because most people wouldn't take on 2 and 3 jobs if they just had one job that paid all the bills. Now, some people will point to the unemployment rate and they'll say this, see, everything looks good. 4.4% unemployment rate. Man, that's really, really low. But here's the problem. The unemployment rate doesn't tell us how comfortable people really are. The unemployment rate only tells us how many people are actively looking for work. That 4.4% unemployment rate does not fully account for people who have stopped looking for work or people who have been forced into part-time jobs. And it doesn't tell us about the people who are working multiple jobs just to stay afloat, right? If people stop looking for jobs or people take a second or third job just to survive, the unemployment rate can look just fine on the surface, even while the job market is steady weakening behind closed doors. So a low unemployment rate is kind of misleading because it doesn't automatically mean a strong job market. And that's why I do these types of videos to show you that you got to look deeper than just the headline numbers that they're feeding us, right? And while I say that, let me be very clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying in this video. I'm not saying that the economy has collapsed. I'm not saying that a recession is guaranteed and a recession is coming. We're going to go into, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to scare you to get clicks. I'm not trying to put fear in you just to get you to hit the like button. I'll leave all that up to CNN and ABC and Fox News and all those places. What I'm saying in this video is that the labor market is under real stress. Hiring leverage is quietly shifting back to the employers. Because remember, 3 or 4 years ago, everybody was hiring. That ain't the case right now. But at the same time, know this is not necessarily a crash either. It's just pressure building under the surface. And those kinds of slow changes that we see taking place right now, that's what usually catches a lot of people off guard. Slowdowns like this don't hurt everybody at one point. They hurt people who aren't prepared for it. So my job is to make sure you are prepared. And here's where context matters, okay? Because while we have job growth weakening, we also have financial markets that tell a whole different story. Stocks rallied on record highs just a couple of days ago. And investors are increasingly betting that the Federal Reserve could be cutting interest rates again as soon as the next FOMC meeting happens later this month. They're going to decide again in just a few weeks whether or not they should raise the Fed funds rate, keep it the same, or lower it, right? So we're getting basically right now conflicting information, and we have sort of a disconnect going on right now. We have weakening job growth on one hand, and then on the other hand, we got these rising asset prices that are being driven higher by rate cut expectations that may happen in a few weeks. Now, let's talk about exactly what you should be doing right now. Listen, if you have a job, let me say this to you. If you're currently employed, this is not the time to just sit back and chill and coast. Okay, in job markets like this, being average at your job is risky. Now, let me say this about jobs. This is not a YouTube channel that bashes jobs or that thinks that you ought to get rid of your job or jobs are no good or jobs are doing something harmful. Listen, I'm all for jobs. Jobs are a good thing. Listen, most work is honorable work. There's nothing wrong with a job. Everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. Everybody doesn't want to have, 1 million followers. Everybody doesn't want to have their own business and hustling and grinding 70, 80, 90 hours a week. That's okay. That's why I say a job is okay. Now, listen, if you have a job right now, on that job, you want to be dependable and you want to make sure that you are available. You want to solve problems that other people won't or can't solve on that job. You want to learn skills that other people avoid on that job. The goal is simple if you have a job right now. You always want to make yourself harder to replace on that job. Because in job markets like this that we have coming up, competence is currency. So you want to be as competent as possible so you're harder to get rid of, okay? If you're worried about job security right now, or if you're even a little concerned about job security, the time to act is today, right now, not later. So you need to be updating your skills and updating your resume before you need to use your resume or before you need these skills. You should be cross-training inside the company that you work for, if that's going to help you. And on the outside, in terms of your own personal finances, you should be reducing unnecessary expenses that happen to show up on your budget every single month. And don't forget, build cash, because that's going to help you build flexibility. In other words, make sure you build an emergency fund that includes at least 6 months or more of your monthly expenses. That way, if you do suffer some type of layoff or your job is cut or you're fired, you're ready, right? You've got enough money to sustain you for at least 6 months. The worst time to prepare for a job risk is after you lose the job and after you lose leverage. So you should be preparing right now. For everybody listening to me, this is not the time to assume that you're going to get that raise or assume that you're going to get that bonus like you always got, or that you can easily job hop like you've done before in the past. This ain't the time to assume all that. Avoid expanding your lifestyle while you're at it as well. Build some margin into your finances. And what that means is make sure you have some cushion between your income and your expenses, and pay attention to what's happening in the labor market in the news, because that stuff matters for our jobs, okay? Also, let me mention this, guys. a lot of people are sort of bracing right now for a possible U.S. Supreme Court ruling on the legality of these tariffs that we've seen. And so the Supreme Court is expected to issue some type of rulings on this issue starting in the next few days, okay? And these decisions around trade policy and tariffs and all that, those things can have a direct impact on hiring in terms of jobs for us as well, right? It could impact manufacturing, supply chains, and all that stuff. So be paying attention to that. That's coming up this week as well. This jobs report that we just got, it doesn't mean the economy is over, but it does mean that the easy phase as employees in America is sort of fading out. And the people who recognize that early are always going to do better than the ones who wait for the headlines to catch up with what's actually going on. Guys, this is why I do these weekly Sunday updates for us, so that you can get this stuff broken down in plain language and you can be aware, because all this matters how you manage your four walls and your own personal finances. If you like and appreciate these updates and find them helpful, let me know in the comments below. I really would appreciate it. Now, listen, if you want a clear, calm way to think about money in times like this, check out my book over on Amazon. You can get to it at manageyourwaytomillions.com. The link to that book is in the description box below. And as always, guys, if you got value here, smash that like button below for me. And most of all, share this video with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Sharing this video is one of the best ways to help this channel stay afloat. So I really would appreciate if you share it. Listen, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.